I tried every deal AppSumo put out this Black Friday. There were 5 drops. Each drop had 4 to 6 tools in it. And on top of that, I also made 3 full-length reviews about my favorite tools inside of each drop. I think it would be safe to say that my AppSumo coverage is fairly complete this Black Friday, but it's not. There is one video I still have to make. It is my 3rd annual AppSumo Black Friday tier list, where I take all of the deals and I rate them on a scale of S tier being the best, all the way down to F tier. Now, I'm gonna be pretty harsh here. The point is to give you some feedback about what I really think of the tools. There are no sponsors, no agendas. I just wanna talk about the tools one last time, get a final say. It doesn't mean you should return something or you should buy something. It's just what I think and how it would impact my life. Now, I did say that there are no sponsors here, and that is true. There's not, but I do have a giveaway. I was contacted by AppSumo. This is not a lie. Just a few hours ago, I was sitting at my kid's jujitsu practice, and I got an email, looked down on my phone. Someone at the AppSumo team reached out to me, and they said, Dave, we have another deal coming out this Friday. No one knows about it yet. I know it is, I'm not allowed to say. And we want you to give away 10 of the codes. So I said, cool, well, I'm gonna make this tier list video tonight. Can I announce it there? And like, nope, you can't say what it is. But I convinced them to let me put up a King Sumo page. So if you want to win one of these deals, no strings attached. The only thing I'm asking for here is your email address. I'll put you on my own personal email address. AppSumo won't have access to that. If you want to be on my newsletter and get a chance to win this mystery deal from AppSumo, go ahead and sign up. I will put the link down below in the description. And if you want to sign up and just unsubscribe right away, that is totally fine by me. Just know that I'm not going to sell your info and I'm not going to spam you. It'll just be for updates about my content. All right, enough housekeeping. Let's get into this tier list. So like I said, I'm going to be fairly harsh here. You might be surprised at some of my ratings, but let's get right into it. We're going to start off. We'll keep this organized. We'll go drop by drop, and we'll start off with drop number 1, of course, which included Reap. Now, Reap is for repurposing. I think that's why it's called Reap. It's, sure, it's not a great name. I'll give you that. But I think there was some confusion here. Like, how do I make videos in Reap? And you don't. You start with long form videos and then you just give those to Reap and it makes shorts for you. That's all it does. It does not allow you, like people are asking, how does it compare to CapCut? Well, very, very different tools here. CapCut has the Reap feature as like one of its tools that it can do, but you can't make a video from scratch inside of Reap. However, I think the features are very nice in Reap. I personally don't have a use for it in my day-to-day life, but I like the tool quite a bit. The interface was beautiful, easy to use, easy to understand. The render times were faster than promised. So overall, I was very impressed with Reap. I did make a full-length review of it. It was one of my favorite tools of the whole Black Friday season. I'm gonna go ahead and put this one up at B tier. Next is Subscriber. This is a tool that I did a full-length review the first time it was on AppSumo. It's for YouTubers or aspiring YouTubers to learn more about their audience, to get ideas for videos. A great set of tools here that was very popular, like wildly popular with AppSumo people. Like it was one of the top selling deals of all time, at least of 2025 anyway. I didn't get on with it that well. I didn't like the interface all that much, and I didn't find the information to be super useful. Now, let me put in the context here. If you struggle with video ideas, Subscriber could be really helpful to you. I have never struggled with video ideas. I have the opposite problem. I have so many ideas for videos that I just don't have the capacity to execute them all. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put Subscriber in the D tier. That's harsh. I know it's probably controversial, but I've got to make some decisions here. I'm gonna use the entire spectrum of letters that I have available to me. So I'm gonna put Subscriber at D. It could easily be an A tier tool for the right person. I think it is best suited to people who are just getting started with YouTube and trying to figure stuff out. If you've been doing YouTube for a long time, I think that you probably won't. It's like chatting with ChatGPT. You're probably not gonna learn a whole ton, but it might review your channel and just give you like, oh, that one little bit of information that made it all worthwhile. Next up is Gumlet. Gumlet is primarily for video hosting, although it originally started off as an image delivery platform like a CDN. Now, I don't use Gumlet myself. I have been using Bunny Stream for years and years. I've got clients on Bunny Stream as well. It has worked out for just about everybody on Bunny Stream. However, I will say that the Gumlet interface is very nice. The features are very complete, more so than MoneyStream for sure. So if you're looking for that kind of YouTube-esque replacement where you can create a channel, upload videos to it, Gumlet is going to be the tool for you. It even added streaming this year. At least that was the first time I had noticed it when I reviewed it. So I think it is a very complete tool. Here is my one hang up with Gumlet. It is fairly expensive considering how much video streaming you actually need to do. The thing is, video streaming is not that expensive these days. It used to be extremely expensive. If you're using Wistia and still paying Wistia prices, you're thinking, Gumlet, my goodness, this is free. But if you're using Bunny Stream or even Cloudflare's streaming platform, pretty reasonable. If you're using Bunny Stream, you can get by. I've got clients that do tons. I mean, they have just so much video on Bunny Stream, and they're still barely paying anything for it. It's going to take a long time to add up to one of the top tier plans on Gumlet. So if you're in that boat where you're already spending just a tremendous amount of money on video, then Gumlet could be a huge cost saving tool. It's great as well. Like, you have to take that into consideration. Like, the features are really nice. But if you're just getting started trying to build up your own content, you're trying to be, sell courses, things like that, you might be surprised how difficult it is to get a ton of bandwidth usage on your content. It might be a very long time before you start to see that ROI tick over to Gumlet. So I like it, but I still don't quite recommend it over something like Bunny Stream for most people. Again, lots of disclaimers there. I'm going to put it at C tier. It could easily be A tier or even S tier if you're coming from Wistia, and it's going to just look like, the best thing ever. And the last deal of drop one is PhotoGPT. I like PhotoGPT quite a bit. It does have some issues, but the premise here is you can upload 10 to 20 photos of someone and it will build an AI model of them. So you can put them into any scenario, making any pose, as long as you give all the right angles. And it does a very good job. I would say 1 out of 4 photos that you generate, you're like, holy cow, that is that person. And then maybe 2 or 3 out of the 4, so including the first one, 2 or 3 out of the 4 are like very good. And then 1 is just totally garbage, right? So that's kind of the way AI is, but it still has some problems. Like, let's say you have a lamp in the background. It's going to take that lamp and then put it like 2 or 3 other spots in the picture. It struggles with images with words on them as well. So there's still some issues to be solved here, but overall, that one thing that it does, which is create the model of the person, really, really impressive. I'm excited to see how good this gets over the next year, because if you just look back 2 or 3 years, the images we were generating and fairly excited about and impressed with now look like absolute trash. So to be moving into the direction where we can do this with our own identities, both terrifying and amazing. So I know as a content creator, I don't want to do a photo shoot every time I need a new picture of myself. So to be able to do it at a high level with something like PhotoGPT would be great. I've tried out a lot of other tools that do similar things, and PhotoGPT is right up there. It's a fairly reasonable investment as well. Even the top tier plan is, I think, only like $300. So I'm going to put PhotoGPT up in, I'm going to do an A tier. I didn't necessarily intend to do like, a different tier for each one, but I did say I'm going to use them all. And so this is where we're at after drop 1. All right, time for drop number 2. Now, a little bit of inside baseball here to set this up. Drop number 2 had 5 deals as it was marketed by AppSumo, but I did not get that. They do send out some information to me to let me know what deals are coming up, and they did not provide the information about the 5th deal. It was never mentioned, so I didn't include it, and I did not give it another look. The tool in question here is Roundups. I did do a review of Roundups when it was first on AppSumo, so I have tried it. I had some problems with it. It was good in premise, but execution wasn't great. But here's why it's not in this tier list video. All of these other tools, I went back and I revisited them. So I'm giving you an updated perspective if they've changed over year, because some of these were in the last Black Friday tier list. And I didn't do that with Roundup. So I'm not including it in the tier list here, but you can go watch my video on Roundups. Just search for it with my name on YouTube, and it definitely will come up, and you can see kind of what I thought of the platform at that time. All right, inside baseball over. Let's move on to Meetn, which is where you're going if you just finished supper and you got to go to the Meetn up here in the Midwest. This is a Zoom replacement, and I think it's fairly good in terms of its functionality, but the UI. Okay, so I'm going to drop it and then I'll explain what I want. I'm going to put this at C tier. I'm going to put this at D tier. I think the UI is solving a problem for maybe an older demographic where you're on a Zoom meeting and you can't find the button, right? So everything in Meetn is huge, which is nice because honestly, you don't want to be like, oh, where is that when you're in front of people, you know, a company meeting or even just like a web conference like that can be scary and your brain can kind of freeze up. So that's cool. But there's a few problems here. First one is I don't see people moving away from Zoom or Google Meet. It's just probably not going to happen. The internet picks winners quickly, right? We have already decided that those are basically our two platforms for online meetings, unless you are, very corporate and then you're using Microsoft. And so Meetn is going to appeal mostly to that older demographic that wants to have a quick link that they can share where people don't have to use Zoom. But the UI is not techie enough to be appealing to people who like technology. Does that make sense? I think it does. I don't mean it to be insulting, but for me personally, I don't think I would be going to use Meetn in my business life. First of all, I don't do a lot of online meetings. I try to avoid them. I would prefer in person or email. Those are kind of my two modes of communication. I don't even like phone calls that much. I'd rather sit with you in the physical world, or we can do this over email. That's kind of how I handle my life. So keep that in mind as I talk about Meetn. I prefer not to do Zoom calls. I'll do them, but I prefer not to. Next up, we've got Albato as well as Robomotion. These are both automation platforms that have a lot of similarities, but also very stark differences. Albato is more in the traditional Zapier-esque type of tool where you have hundreds of integrations with other applications, and then you build out a workflow in a linear manner. You can do branching and all of that, but it's a very nice, clean interface. I would say the one downside to Albato is that it hasn't really changed that much over the years. They have now added in a little AI, tool to ask questions, but it can't do anything for you. I would love to see Albato progress a little bit faster in terms of its development. Other tools are surpassing it now because it was kind of cutting edge at the time, but now with everything AI powered, it is going to fall behind if it doesn't take some big leaps quickly. I'm going to put Albato at the C tier. Now, in the same breath, I'm going to talk about Robomotion, which seems like it's similar, but Robomotion has this idea of robotic process automation behind it, where you don't need to rely on webhooks or native integrations. Instead, you can use a keyboard and mouse and automate those movements. A very, very powerful feature. I think Robomotion is great, especially when you can't do a task any other way. So I'm going to put Robomotion at B. The reason, by the way, to finalize that idea, you couldn't do the task any other way is because you need that keyboard and mouse integration into the equation to build out that automation. So Robomotion, B tier, Albato, C tier. Our last tool of this drop number 2 is ClickRank. And this is an SEO tool and it works kind of after the fact. So you put some JavaScript on your website and then it can go through and update your titles, your meta descriptions, basically make you look prettier to Google so more people want to click on your links. I liken it to a safety net. It's not going to replace your SEO efforts on your actual website. You should still do all of that there, but then you've got ClickRank to catch anything that gets through the cracks. And I think that's a really nice thing to have. I'm probably going to continue to use ClickRank. I still will make efforts to make sure my website is up to snuff because if ClickRank goes down, well, I don't want my SEO to drop if they, fade away. This happens sometimes. I want to make sure that I'm not relying on it entirely, but I do like that safety net. And there's some other nice features in ClickRank. It connects up to Google Search Console, so you can see all of your keywords that are being clicked on and, which pages are ranking the best. It's a really pretty view of Google Search Console. Google's products can be, you love them or hate them. They can be a little bit difficult to navigate the UI from time to time. And I think ClickRank makes things a little bit nicer to look at. So I'm going to give ClickRank a B rating. All right, we are moving on to drop number 3. There are 6 deals in this drop. We are flying through this. I'm going to give AcumbaMail a B rating. AcumbaMail, if the name didn't explain it for you, is an email marketing tool. It integrates with the Be Free editor, so you get hundreds of beautiful looking templates that you can use to create things like e-commerce emails. A really great way to build out emails. One of the nicest email building experiences I've had on any platform, even outside of the LTD space. A really, really great tool there. If you could combine all of the power features of AcumbaMail with Encharge, which I'm also going to rank at B, these are quite different tools for different people. I think you would have one of the finest email platforms out there if you could somehow just push those together. So with Encharge, its strongest feature in my mind is the automation builder. You get this infinite canvas, much like Figma, where you can build out multiple automations under the same campaign. So a SaaS product is the example that I showed in my video, where maybe you have a trial automation, or like where you're sending out emails to get someone through the trial process. And then after they opt in, you have some sign up emails, to make sure that they're using the product correctly. And if they cancel, you've got another automation that fires, and you can see them all in one view, just laid out very nicely. You can leave notes to yourself. Encharge, really, really beautiful tool. When it comes to creating the actual emails, not really as pretty as AcumbaMail. Personally, I'm okay with that. I prefer emails to look like they're from people and not banner ads on websites. But I know for e-commerce, it tends to do better if it's like, beautiful pictures. For Encharge, you're mostly going to have, you can put pictures in, don't get me wrong, but you're mostly going to have text-based emails that are formatted with HTML. Two great tools, very nice options to choose from. Hopefully I've explained the differences enough so that you can decide which one is best for you. All right, next up is PushLap Growth. One of the worst names, probably the worst name out of all of the deals in this AppSumo Black Friday. I have no idea what PushLap means. If someone can explain it to me, leave me a comment down below. However, this is an excellent product. I'm going to put PushLap Growth in the A tier. Now, it could be S tier if you are really into affiliate marketing. You buy tier 10 and you've basically got a business in a box here. It's got everything you need to start charging your clients, building out affiliate programs for them. You can do multi-level. So if you refer affiliates and they start earning, you can get a little kickback on that. Really high quality tool here. I have definitely shifted my viewpoint in the last few years, where I used to be very heavily invested into keeping everything on WordPress. And I wanted to have my affiliate program there, and my course program there, my e-commerce there, and my email marketing, everything just stuffed right into WordPress. And that obviously doesn't go so well. I think it seems obvious to me, even just saying it out loud. What happens is the site gets really, really hungry for power. It can't keep up. You have to have a blazing fast CPU, tons of RAM to keep things usable inside of the admin view. And so just getting things on different sites, even if they're different WordPress sites, can be okay. But I've really, really started to diversify in terms of, blogging on Ghost, doing courses on WordPress, because LearnDash is still, venture capital or private equity, whatever, owns it, but it's still the best LMS I can find. So there's reasons to kind of spread these things out. And it's so easy to throw data around these days with webhooks and other integrations that it's not really a problem. And it just, if all of your eggs in one basket, you really got to make sure that that basket doesn't get dropped. And if you spread things out, well, then you're a little bit safer. If your email goes down, it doesn't take out your e-commerce. That's enough on that. I really like PushLap Growth. Very impressed with the product. I spent a lot of time trying it out, and it was flawless. It did everything I wanted it to. Every feature I thought of was very easy to find. So I think a bright future ahead for this product. So definitely keep your eyes on that. If you haven't grabbed it already, I would definitely consider it. Not trying to sell you stuff here. Honestly, it is that good. All right, Trafft is up next. I'm going to also put this as an A tier deal. Trafft is a scheduling tool. It is primarily focused, or its main strong point, in my opinion, is physical location. So if you're a salon, a music lesson provider, you provide fitness classes, anything where people need to come to your location, or even if you go to their location, Trafft is a fantastic solution here. I would max stack this if I were a provider, because the alternatives are so expensive and so difficult to use. I know because, as I mentioned in my video, I used to run a music lesson business. We used Mindbody for a long time, a long, painful time. And Trafft was a breeze to set up, very intuitive, easy to use. Definitely highly recommend this one, but only to people who actually have those brick and mortar businesses. It's not a good Calendly replacement. For that, go with TidyCal. Trafft is more for that. I'm going to go to the class, I'm going to get the hair done, whatever you want. But it's not great for like, hey, let's schedule a discovery call. Stick to TidyCal for that. Trafft is meant for those in-person visits. All right, just 2 products left in drop number 3. We've got PressRanger up next. This is a tool to help you get more press for your business. It's got a nice directory of journalists as well as podcasts. You can try to get placed with one of those. It also has some AI to help you write press releases. And it even has an additional service, not part of the LTD, that will take your press releases and then guarantee placement inside of hundreds of publications. A very interesting tool here. I am going to put PressRanger in the C tier. I think that is down from where it was last year. The issue is, how much human involvement is this going to take? And are you going to do it? That would be my question. If you are highly motivated and you're actually going to take action with this tool to generate those press releases, to do the outreach, to get the spots, then it's going to be very, very valuable. But I have a feeling that a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, I'll get some press for my business. And then they buy it and it sits on their shelf. And then you end up being angry because I never used that. And you look at it and you're like, oh, that was wasted money. Don't buy those types of deals. If you are proactive and you're highly motivated, I think PressRanger could easily be a B or A tier tool for you. I'm more C tier. I am not going to be highly motivated to write press releases. Similarly, I'm going to put HeySummit in the C tier as well. Remember, C tier is average, right? This seems like I'm harsh. A lot of the products here are C tier that you might think, oh, these are really good. HeySummit, really good tool, like super feature packed. It has everything you need to do an online event. In fact, it has so much you need to do an online event. I think the average person is going to have a panic attack when trying to figure out the process. The ways that HeySummit could become an A or even S tier tool is not to add more features, it's to clarify the event planning process. There is some language differences as you go from different parts of the tool. There's too many tabs to switch back and forth, and then sidebars pop out, and it's like, you just need to have everything there kind of focused in the center of the screen and go through step by step. Give me a 1, 2, 3, 4 step process to creating my online event. And then it will make so much more sense to people. But right now, I think unless like I can hang with it, I've reviewed hundreds of software tools, so I can get it. But I think the average person is going to be like, I just want to have like, we'll have some speakers on this day and then we'll have some speakers on this day. And it feels like too much. So HeySummit, great tool, needs to refine its offer and just be more clear to the average person that wants to have an online event. By the way, it's partially at C tier because I don't want to ever be at an online event, host an online event, or have anything to do with an online event. So there you go. That is that. Hard to believe it, but we are already on to drop number 4. And the first deal I want to talk about is Brizy. I'm going to put Brizy up at tier A. Brizy is a website builder. It lets you blog and create landing pages. Probably the most beautiful LTD experience for building websites that I have ever seen. It also has a great new AI feature where it will just basically scrape your social media and build your entire local business website out for you. So if you're providing services to local businesses or you are one yourself and you want to have a nice marketing page, Brizy should be your first stop if budget is limited. Very, very impressive tool, very easy to use, very feature rich. It's been around a while now. I think it kind of knows what its place is. It doesn't try to do too much, although they're adding some features, like there's some membership features and things now, which I've not talked about much. At least I didn't do it in the recent drop video. But Brizy, very good. Definitely would not hesitate to recommend, a friend that was looking for a website, didn't want to go with Squarespace. Brizy would be a great way to save some cash. Okay, I just rearranged some things to keep all of our no-code platforms here together. First, we'll talk about Triplo before we get into that. Triplo is a desktop application that brings AI to just about every place you might be on your computer. So it's the main benefit here is that you'll have access to AI when you're doing anything. It's not just stuck inside of a Chrome extension or, it's not a tab you have to switch to. You can invoke it with key commands anywhere you are. I put out a very detailed video on Triplo, exactly how to use it, how all of the features work. It has some really powerful features as well as some amazing privacy features, like you can run models locally on your machine and then have Triplo activate them wherever you are. It also can fire off webhooks so that you can use yourself as the trigger for something like N8N, or if you're using Albato, one of those types of tools. And rather than having your website send off a trigger when someone takes an action, you can be the trigger, and then Triplo can send off the webhook. Really, really cool. So I'm going to go ahead and put Triplo at S tier. It's our lone S tier tool of this video so far. I do like to reserve that for only my favorite tools, and I think Triplo is the one so far. Okay, no code tools are up next, but hey, I gotta say, AppSumo did a really good job this year. There were quite a few tools last year that I was just like, this doesn't work. And my reviews reflected that, and there was none of that this year. So, I'm trying to be really critical, but there were so many good tools this year that I find it difficult to put anything in these bottom two rankings because, just nothing is awful, to be honest. So we're going to move on to NoCodeX, which is a privacy-focused no-code platform. Now, I want to be totally upfront that I have not spent a massive amount of time with NoCodeX. I just did their demo, right? I did their trial, which only gives you a certain number of credits. I did have more time with Krisspy, which I have the LTD for. We'll get to that in a moment because some things have changed rapidly with Krisspy. With NoCodeX, I found the platform to be definitely more tech focused, where something like Greta, they're going to output all of the code for you so that you can take the files and you can put them someplace else. And you can do that, I believe, with NoCodeX, but it's trickier because you have to self-host it through, I forgot what it is, maybe Kubernetes. It's difficult, but still doable. With NoCodeX, however, the whole platform is definitely something that's going to appeal more to people who are already engineers versus something like Greta, where if you are an engineer, you're going to like it because you get those files. But if you're not an engineer, you're still going to like it because it makes a beautiful website with like very little interaction. So good or bad, right? We all hear the horror stories about vibe coding. So I'm going to put NoCodeX at D tier, which is probably harsh, but it's just how I feel about it. I probably wouldn't use this tool. It was too much for me. And then Greta, not too much financially, just too much to like the interface. It was a lot to take in. Then Greta, I will probably put up at B tier. Greta is one that people were saying in the comments like, hey, we wanted higher tiers for Greta. We wanted more with the ability to use it more, and we didn't get that. So while these are both in the same niche, I feel like Greta's UI and just usability was just so enticing. It just made you want to build stuff with it. And that's great. Honestly, I think we're going to do it. We're going to move Greta up to A. Greta is a really great tool. I like this one a lot. Krisspy, now let's talk about that. How does it fall in here? Because when I reviewed Krisspy, it was on version 1. This morning, I get an email. Hey, you've been migrated from Krisspy version 1 up to Krisspy version 2. It is now a completely different interface. I don't know what to do because I have not really used it yet. So if you buy it now, I believe you're just going to get version 2, which I haven't actually used because I used version 1. It looked like an improvement. I did log in and I played around with one of the templates, and it looked like an improvement. It looked like it moved more away from doing the mockups, which if you remember Krisspy from any of my other videos, Krisspy was great at doing like UI mockups and helping you think through which screens you would need. And it wasn't a complete product. I don't think it was ever intended at that point to be a complete product. Now it's like coding, and it's got ChatGPT built right in, or Claude, I believe it was, where you can have it like, revise the code for you. It looks really promising, but gosh, I'm not really sure what to do with it. I'm going to review it based on what it was previously, and I think it was a B tier then. So hopefully it's better now. You've got the disclaimer. Okay, we are moving on to drop number 6. Now, before we get into that, I want to ask you just a couple of things. If you've made it this far in the video, make sure you click that like button. Clearly you're enjoying it, and get subscribed if you haven't already. I really want to grow this channel. I'd love to hit the 100,000 subscriber mark sometime in 2026 or 2027. It would mean a ton to my kids if one of those silver buttons showed up at my house. So help me get there by clicking on that subscribe button. All right, thank you. Moving on to our last 6 tools. We've got NeuronWriter. This is an SEO tool to help you create content. You can also, I didn't mention it in my review, but you can use it to build landing pages as well. That's some new features they've added in, the focus of being not just for pure content, but also landing page writing. NeuronWriter, very solid tool. I believe the top selling AppSumo deal of all time. So people are using it, people are liking it. It's kind of the gold standard for writing tools. Like It's what people hoped Surfer was going to be, and I don't think it ever quite even got as good as NeuronWriter, and now I don't hear people talk about Surfer anymore. So I'm gonna put NeuronWriter, I'm gonna put it A tier. It's really good. It's really close to S tier for me. You know what, we're gonna do it. We're gonna go S tier. NeuronWriter, it's a classic. Yes, you still need content on your blog. Yes, it's still important. People are still gonna visit your website, even if they can use Google instant search results, they're still going to read articles. So definitely optimize them with SEO in mind. Don't, however, just use the AI to write all of your articles. That is a bad idea. Next up is Eureka. This is a tool for online course creators or people who would like to create online courses. The primary functionality is to research certain industries. You'll be able to see all of the major course platforms, what is popular on those platforms, how much they've sold, and also look for content gaps, like what does the outline miss that might improve the course based on what the people are saying in the reviews of the course. So these are things that, well, I have lots of feelings about this. I do quite a bit in the online course business. I help a lot of people with their online courses. And I feel like Eureka has one premise wrong, and that is that it seems like they're encouraging you to do research into a niche. Like, I want to make courses about potato guns, so I'm going to do research on what is popular about potato guns. And I don't think that's how people pick topics for online courses. Generally, you are already recognized in your field. You've got some degree of expertise, and then you decide to turn that into an online course. So the initial research of like, should I make this course? You can probably do that on your own, honestly. It wouldn't take that long. The idea of filling in the content gap, that could be useful, where you can quickly look at all of the reviews, summarize them with AI, and then fill in your outline, your course outline. That could be really useful. The part where you actually move to the next steps and you build out the courses on Eureka is less useful, because what do you do with it after it's on Eureka? Unless you're actually hosting your course on Eureka, it's less helpful in my opinion. So I would probably get a lower tier plan of Eureka and use it just for filling in those gaps, for getting the sentiment from reviewers. And I wouldn't worry about actually building out the course right inside of the platform. Now I'm gonna put this at C tier. There is a little bit of an update on Eureka, because when I initially made my video, the higher tier plans, I believe it was like tiers 3, 4, and 5, those had video hosting included, and that has since been removed. The owner of the product, or the founder, has commented that they had some credits, some type of credit system that they were expecting to get that fell through, something along those lines. Definitely don't quote me on that. But that it made it so that they could no longer offer that video hosting, and it was actually an accident that it even made it onto the AppSumo deal page. So that has been removed. If you bought 3, 4, or 5 expecting video hosting, you'll have to, and that's the reason you bought it, probably need to refund a code or two. But honestly, I don't think it was ever a great idea to put your course on that platform anyways. It's much better to have some control over your own online courses. So I recommend something like LearnDash for that. Up next is Logically. This is a product formerly known as Afori. Logically is a much easier name to say and remember, so I think this was a huge upgrade there. This product helps people create academic research papers. It has a lot of features built in to do citations and collect all of your research together, take notes, and then chat with AI about your research. So I could see it as a very, very powerful tool for the academically minded, which is not me. This product is not something I would use on a regular basis. I'm going to put it in the D tier, not because it's bad, but because I am not in school. I'm not doing research papers. I have no use for this. I can't even tell you like where the shortcomings would be, because I've never done an academic research paper. So keep that in mind. That's my 2 cents. I want to be as straightforward with you as possible. I think there's some cool and exciting technology in it, but in terms of tier list, how do I rate it in terms of usefulness against these other products? It's down near the bottom. I don't think I would use it personally. One product that I've changed my mind on is Letterly. I guess I did a review of it and was kind of negative about it, because honestly, it's like does one thing. Like you hit record and then you talk into it, and then it uses AI to transform that into something else. And at the time I was like, well, that's it? Where's the chatbot? Like, it didn't seem like enough. Now I get it. There's so many AI tools out. This has got a nice little spot. It lives on my phone. I don't use it on the desktop at all. But on my phone, if I need to take a quick note and I want to have it somewhat readable later, well, then I can use Letterly to translate it for me from incoherent rambling into something that actually makes sense. So go check out my demo of Letterly in the roundup video if you want to see more about it. But this one is a solid B tier for me. I really like Letterly, so much so that I actually gave it to my wife, who is not technically minded, and she was like, oh, that's really useful. And then I used it with my son to help him write a letter to his soccer coach telling him about why he wants to change positions. And it just worked really, really well. It's very smooth. And yeah, I think it's going to be one of those tools that is just like more useful than you realize. Vocable is up next. I'm going to place Vocable in the C tier solidly. Vocable is a social media content creation type of tool where you basically teach it about your brand, and then it will go out and create content for you on a certain subject. So in my demo recently, I had it to an email sequence, or you could also have it create content for YouTube videos or Facebook, things like that. And it will go ahead and just generate tons and tons of drafts. First, you look at the outlines. If the outlines look good, then you can have it generate the actual full content with AI. My main problem here is that it's so easy to just have AI do everything for you. And I think we need to avoid overwhelming our audience with low quality information. So I use AI quite a bit with my channel. I actually use it to create articles based on what I say in my videos, but my videos are entirely human created. So if I create an AI summary of my video, it might not read as well as if I wrote it myself, but it means I can create one for every single video. With Vocable, you're probably not going to create as many pieces of social media content as it can do for you. So I don't know that it has the effect that I personally want, which is why I'm putting it in the C tier. I want to have more of a human component to the interactions that you have with me online. Final tool is Semdash. This is another SEO tool. I'm going to put this one at C tier as well. My main issue with Semdash is that it doesn't really make it clear where they're getting their data from. So to make some distinctions here, because we've got quite a few SEO tools in the mix. Interestingly enough, they were spread out across all of the drops. So we have NeuronWriter here. This is for creating content. Then we also have, where is it? We have ClickRank. This is for primarily optimizing technical SEO, stuff on the page. And then we have Semdash, which is more for external SEO, where you're researching keywords, you're seeing what your competitors are up to, and you're looking at backlinks and things like that. So these are all tools that could work together. Like if you want to pick all three of them up, you're going to have a pretty solid SEO toolkit. You're going to have most of your bases covered here. But the reason that Semdash is ranked lower than ClickRank, which is ranked lower than NeuronWriter, is the data question here. Data is very expensive when it comes to SEO, especially this form of data where you need to know what the rest of the internet is actually doing. You can't have data that's 2 months old here. It could mean that you're hunting something that is not even there. You're off on a wild goose chase. So for Semdash, I didn't see a lot of clarity in terms of where they're getting their information from. And quite honestly, I don't know how that works on a business model to be able to spend that much money scraping the internet continuously and offer it for a lifetime deal. It's like one of those, like a hosting deal. It's hard to do hosting where you have just a ton of demand on processing power and do that as a lifetime deal. It's not all bad though. I don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer. It does a lot of the same things that you would pay a SEMrush or an Ahrefs to do. I just question the freshness at which it will do it. So that's it for this year's tier list. Everything's kind of lifted up near the top. There really wasn't those stinkers like I mentioned, like a tool where you click a button and it just didn't do the thing it said it was going to do. Overall, I think AppSumo is, this is a smaller Black Friday as well. Last year there was 35 some tools, and what are we at, like 29 here or something? So it's a more condensed Black Friday. They've weeded out some of those tools. I like that direction for AppSumo. I don't know how I feel about the drop every day and then the 7-day price increase. I feel like it's just too much. Kind of liked last year. There was a lot of complaints about having a 48-hour window. So it was like 48 hours, new drop every 48 hours, and then the price increased after 48. I kind of preferred that. I saw a lot of people complaining in my comments last year about it, but I like that personally. So let me know, what do you think? How was AppSumo this year for you? Is there anything you're picking up? Any questions you got? Definitely hit me up down below in the comments. Hey, and don't forget, I'm doing a giveaway. Go ahead and get signed up for this. You've got another 6 days, and maybe you'll win one of the 10 mystery prizes that AppSumo is providing me. That's going to do it for today. Thank you for watching. My name is Dave. I got links for everything down below. I will see you in the next review.